my channel. So today I have my first update for my Pan That palette. I am actually working on 2 palettes for my Pan That palette this year. Yes, I'm crazy, but you all voted for the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude and I really wanted the Shadow Kiss. So I have lumped them together. And so far it's okay. I think I've gone into Naughty Nude a little bit more, but during this time I don't mind going into a lot of these red warmer tones because obviously we have Valentine's Day around the corner. This one is really nice because it's cool tone, so I'm actually wearing it today. It just helps neutralize a lot of these shades if I do use them combined. Or I've gone into this one quite a few times without going into this one at all. And then this one I went into and I didn't go into Naughty Nude. So I've been, you know, just playing around. I've also been going into a lot of other eyeshadow palettes this month since I started this project. So I have not used these probably as much as maybe some other people when they start their Pan That palette, or as much as I probably wanted to in the initial month. But at the same time, I think if I'm a little bit more relaxed with it, then I will feel a little less burnt out by just focusing on these palettes. If I focus on other palettes and then also have these around the side, then I feel like I won't get as bored. Having said that, I do think that there's a little bit of progress. So let's start with the Naughty Nude from Huda Beauty. I will put up on the screen what it looked like when I rolled it into the project. I think I had one of the shades, yeah, Slippery, I had scooped out. That was that really like jelly weird formula and I never liked it, so I got rid of that straight away because I could see it wasn't gonna like last in my collection anyway. And then the only other 2 like pans that I've had would be in the Flower Power shade and also the Naughty shade, which I had hit both of those previously in a project level up. I have not used all of the shades this month, but I have some shades where I've gone into a little bit more than others. And no new pans. However, I do feel like it looks a little different. Maybe it's just me, but I definitely enjoyed it myself. This is what we're looking at right now. Hopefully with the glare, it's not too bad. I'm having a lot of difficulty using natural lighting at the moment. So, you know, sometimes I'm going to be using my ring light when I can't use my natural lighting, unfortunately. It's just not a good time of year for it. So this is what it's looking like. And yeah, doesn't look too different in terms of other pans that I've hit or anything like that, but I do feel like it looks more used, which is obviously what we're going for. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it over here because I'm going to keep blinding you if I hold it right in the front there. But this Filthy shade, which is like a light mauve shade, I've used that 2 times. This one over here, Passion, I've used 3 times. Shameless, I have not used at all. Please Me, I've used twice. Hypnotic, I've used once. And Hard, I've used once. I forgot that the names in this palette are so obnoxious, so it's a little cringy me saying all these names. I do realize that. Anyway, next up we've got Untamed. I've used that 2 times. Then we have Irresistible. I've used that 3 times. And then we have Flower Power, which I already had a pan in. This one is very, very crumbly. I do feel like I'm going to go through this one faster than anything else. I've also gone into it 4 times. Every time I dip my finger in there though, I feel like it moves around. So I'm really trying to be as delicate as possible because I think the pan could have expanded quite a bit more because there is quite a big chunk here that definitely wants to float away. So I keep having to squish it back in. I don't want to just lose the product just for the sake of it. Anyway, moving on to Rough, I've used that 4 times. Then we have Spicy. This is the one I've used the most. I've used that 5 times. You know, you have like 3 really dark mattes in here, which I personally feel like they all kind of serve the same purpose, but I have tried to go into them all, you know, each individually or in different looks or the same look because this is a little bit more cool tone. This is lighter, and this is a little bit more like red tone. So there are a little bit of differences, but honestly, I don't need all 3 of them. They kind of serve the same purpose as how I do my makeup, but they're here for the purpose of this. Obviously, my Pan That palette, I need to go into all the shades. So anyway, yeah, Spicy, I guess I like it the best. It is a little bit darker than the others, so I've been using it to deepen out my outer corner a little bit more than anything else. Then we have Arouse. I have not been into that one. Tantric, which is this one over here, I've gone into once. Naughty, I've gone into 3 times, which I already have a pan, so it'd be nice to see this expand over the course of the next year. Then we have Provocative. I went into that twice, We have Desire. I went into that once. Now I only went to it once, but I do feel like I'm going to hit pan on this next. I think that's the next one because there is quite a dip in there. It's quite squishy formula. And comparing to everything else, I feel like it's the one that I will hit pan in first. And then we have Juicy. I've gone into twice. I have a little bit of hard pan in here, but it still works fine. And I went into it twice. So yeah, not all the shades, but pretty much almost every shade I've gone into. Some of them have gone into quite a bit more than others. I've just been playing with this pretty organically. I haven't tried to force myself to use it yet. I know that at some point during a pan that palette, you do kind of get really sick and tired of it. I can see myself getting sick and tired of this, especially when I see so many redundant shades in this palette. But I knew that going into it, so I think for the first month, I feel happy that I've just gone into what I feel like I need to go into. Moving forward, just because I want to see a little bit more progress next time, I think I will go into Desire a little bit more just so we can hit pan potentially before the next update. I think also naturally I'm going to be going into Flower Power a little bit more, and I think that pan will expand. I think the rest of these, there is quite a lot of product still left in most of them, so I'm just going to carry on as always. I do have a little bit of a dip forming in this shade, so potentially that one will look a little bit different, but I think first month you're never really going to see a huge amount of progress unless you really focus on the palette and don't really focus on anything else, which I have not done this month. Okay, and then we have the Shadow Kiss from Alter Ego. So this one I've gone to a little bit less, well, quite a bit less than the Naughty Nude. I will have up on a screen what it looked like when I rolled it in. I do not have any pans in this one. A bit of use, but no real deep dips in any of the shades, honestly, when I rolled it in last month. Honestly, it doesn't really look that different. This is what it's looking like now. I feel like this one, there's a little bit more of a dip forming, and potentially this one looks a little bit different. I also feel like this one has a little bit more wear and tear to it. I do like these two mattes, but otherwise it just looks like I've kind of gone into it, but I haven't really done too much, which is kind of fair. So I will just go through my uses because they're pretty small. Cloak, I went into it once. Did not go into Vanish. Mist, I went into it twice. Did not go into Veil. Fog, I went into it once. Then we have Risk, I went into that 4 times. So this one, I think it will definitely be the first matte that I hit pan on. I have hit pan on Alter Ego formula before, and aside from their cream to powder shades, I find their formula very, very difficult to hit pan on. Like, it takes a long time. So I say I'm going to hit pan on this first. I think it's going to take me a while. I'm not going to lie. It's going to take me a while. And the shimmers, potentially this one would be the first one I hit pan on just because I like to put it in my inner corner. But again, it's going to take me some time. These pans are pretty deep, and you know, the shades are pretty pigmented, like they're packed in there. So I don't find that there's that much kick up when I go into the mattes too, which I'm not complaining at all. It's just, it's a harder formula to hit pan on. So I already know that going into it. Honestly, Huda Beauty too. So I picked 2 brands that are not typically like the easiest to hit pan on, at least in my opinion. Anyway, moving on. So Disguise, I went into it once. It's actually what I have pretty much all over the lid today. And then we have Tempt, I did not go into that. We have Eclipse, I went into that 1 time. We have Shroud, I went into that 1 time. Then we have Desire down here, I went to that 4 times. So I told you, these are like my 2 favorite mattes, and I went into them 4 times each. So, you know, again, I went into this pretty organically, and I just gravitate towards these 2. I don't know what's going on. And then we have Shade, I went into it once. Did not go into Dare. And then Umbra, I went into that 3 times. Again, this is like just a really dark, very cool tone brown that I went into it again today just to deepen out my outer V and do a tiny little bit of a wing. But I find these shades pretty easy to go into, but they're not something that I gravitate towards all the time, but it's nice to have it in this palette. And then Zeal, I did not go into. So quite a few more shades in here that I did not pull, but I don't mind. It's not a big deal. So my focus for this palette will be to potentially just use some of the shades that I did not go into, but then also just carry on using it either as a companion palette to the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude, or on its own like I've done today, or maybe in conjunction with some other palettes. I honestly just, I'm happy that it's around and I'm finally getting some use to it, and I'm not feeling the pressure as of yet to have a huge amount of progress on these palettes. I think with the Naughty Nude, I've done more of a push this month, but I do think I will slow down on this. So I think I've purposely been like, okay, well now that I'm feeling these tones, let's use this palette before I lose the will to live, you know, before I don't want to go into this anymore, which I do expect that to happen in a few months' time. But it might not. It might not. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things where color story wise, there's only so much you can do and it's pretty deep. So anyway, all right, that is my little update for my Pan That palette for this month. And yeah, hope you enjoy. If you want to stick around and watch me conquer these palettes over the next year and you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Anyway, thank you so much. I will see you all next time. Bye.